Hey everyone, welcome to the Build Your English podcast, where we talk about real life in real English and help you speak with confidence when it matters. I'm Clara, and today's topic is for anyone who has ever stared at their own life and thought, okay, so where exactly am I going? Not in a dramatic way, in a very ordinary Tuesday way.
I'm Nathan, and if you've ever opened your brain like it's Google Maps and it responded, recalculating, welcome. Today we're talking about crossroads, confusion, and that strange phase where you're not falling apart, but you also can't pretend you're fine with the current route.
I love how you said current route, because what I want to propose is maybe life isn't a route. Maybe life is a maze.
Yes,
Not a road, not a straight line, not even a cute little hiking trail with motivational signs. A maze. Walls, turns, dead ends. And the worst part? You can't see the full map while you're inside it.
that's the defining feature. When you're in a maze, you don't get perspective. You get a corridor. You get a wall. You get a choice that feels like a test.
And you get the feeling that other people are somehow outside the maze, holding a coffee, watching you like, interesting choice, Clara.
Yes. Meanwhile, they're in their own maze pretending they're on a highway.
Exactly. Everyone acts like they're on a highway. I'm just heading to my goals. And I'm like, I just walked into the same wall emotionally 3 times.
The emotional wall is very real.
Okay, let me start with a very specific moment. Last week, I had one of those days where everything looks normal from the outside. I worked, I answered messages, I did responsible person things. And then, late at night, I opened my laptop to do something simple, just to check one thing. And I realized I had 17 tabs open.
17 is a personality.
It is. 17 tabs means you are not doing one thing. You are doing a lifestyle. And these weren't even work tabs. It was a mix of career options, moving to a different city, articles about burnout, a video called How to Know What You Want, and then, this is the part that humbles you, a tab for Best Knives for Cooking.
That's the maze. Existential crisis next to kitchen equipment.
Exactly. And it hit me. I wasn't researching knives. I was soothing myself with the illusion of progress. Like, I don't know where my life is going, but I can become a person who dices onions with confidence.
That's actually a very human strategy. When the big decisions feel impossible, we move to smaller decisions that feel controllable. The mind wants traction.
Yes, I wanted traction. Because the bigger thing, what I actually needed to think about, felt too foggy. And that fog is what the maze feels like. You're not in pain exactly. You're just disoriented.
Disoriented is the right word. The maze phase often isn't dramatic, it's subtle. You wake up and you function, but under the surface you have this quiet question running all day. Is this it?
Yes. Is this it? Is the scariest quiet sentence. It doesn't scream, but it changes the room.
And it tends to show up when something is shifting. Not when you're failing, when you're outgrowing the old shape of your life.
That's important because people treat confusion like a flaw. Like, why can't I just know? But maybe confusion is what happens when you're between versions of yourself.
Exactly. The maze is often a transition space.
Okay, but let's be honest. Transition spaces are annoying
Very.
because they make you feel late. Like everyone else got the memo and you missed it.
That sense of being late is one of the most common emotional lies people carry. They think life has a schedule and they're behind it.
Yes, and the maze makes that worse because there's no clear progress bar. You can't see the distance. You just see turns.
And when you can't measure progress, you start questioning your movement. Am I moving forward or am I walking in circles?
And the inner voice gets dramatic. You've been in the same pattern for years. It turns one uncertain week into a life sentence.
The mind loves making permanent conclusions from temporary feelings.
That's a sentence I want to keep on my desk. Permanent conclusions from temporary feelings. Because when you're in the maze, every corner feels like a verdict.
And it's not.
It's just a corner.
It's just information.
Okay, so what does the maze look like in real life? Let's define it. Because it's not just, I don't know what I want, it's more specific. For me, the maze shows up when I have options, and somehow the options make me feel worse.
Yes, options can create paralysis. People assume options equal freedom, but options can also equal pressure.
Because then every choice feels like identity.
Exactly. If I choose this job, I'm this kind of person. If I move, I'm the kind of person who leaves. If I stay, I'm the kind of person who settles. It becomes moral.
It becomes a personality test. And I don't want my life to be a personality test. I want my life to be my life.
That's the strange thing about the maze. You start trying to pick the right corridor instead of the next corridor.
Say more.
In a maze, you don't actually need the perfect corridor. You need a corridor that moves you somewhere. You need motion plus awareness. But people in real life want certainty first, and then movement.
And you rarely get certainty first.
Almost never.
That's what makes the maze so exhausting. You want a guarantee. You want a sign. You want a glowing arrow from the universe. And the universe is like, best I can do is vibes?
Ambiguous vibes.
Exactly. Vibes and anxiety.
And because you can't get a guarantee, you stay stuck. Not because you're lazy, but because you're trying to avoid regret.
Regret is such a powerful fear. It's like we're not only choosing a path, we're choosing which regret we can live with.
That's very honest, and that's actually mature. Because regret is real. But here's the twist. Not choosing creates regret too.
Yes, the regret of stagnation. The regret of watching your own life from the couch.
Exactly.
Okay, mini tech point. So basically, the maze isn't, I'm failing. The maze is, I can't see the whole map, but I still have to move.
That's it. And once you accept that, you stop treating uncertainty like an emergency.
That's the key, because the maze makes people panic. They start collecting advice like it's emergency supplies.
The advice spiral.
Yes. Maybe I need a new morning routine. Maybe I need a new therapist. Maybe I need a new city. Maybe I need a new identity. And suddenly, you're building a whole new life in your head instead of dealing with the life you're actually in.
The mind would rather redesign reality than sit with ambiguity.
Because ambiguity feels like standing still in the dark.
Exactly. It feels unsafe.
So you do what I did. You open 17 tabs and pretend you're making progress.
You purchase the feeling of progress.
Exactly. I'm buying progress with browser tabs.
And sometimes with actual purchases.
Don't call me out like that.
I'm not calling you out. I'm calling us out.
Okay, let's tell a story, because this topic gets abstract quickly and I want it to feel real. I had a very clear maze moment a few months ago. I was offered something that sounded good on paper. More visibility, more responsibility, the kind of thing you're supposed to want. And I should have been excited, but instead I felt strangely cold.
Cold how?
Like my body had opinions before my brain did. My brain was listing pros and cons like a spreadsheet, but my body was like, no.
That's important. The body often notices misalignment first.
Yes, and I didn't trust it. I thought, maybe I'm just scared. and I went into full maze mode. I talked to people, I made lists, I imagined 10 different futures. I watched myself in those futures like I was auditioning for my own life.
That is such a vivid image. Auditioning for your own life.
That's what it felt like. And in every version, I looked fine. I was successful, functional, impressive. But in none of them did I look alive.
That's a powerful distinction. Fine versus alive.
Exactly. And I kept trying to force myself to be excited. Like excitement was a requirement. Like if I wasn't excited, I was ungrateful.
That's another maze wall, the guilt wall.
Yes, the guilt wall is huge. Other people would love this. You're lucky. Don't be difficult. And that guilt can trap you in corridors that aren't yours.
Because guilt is persuasive. It sounds like morality.
Exactly. It sounds like being a good person. But sometimes it's just fear of disappointing others.
Or fear of disappointing the version of yourself you imagined years ago.
Yes, the imaginary version. The one who wanted a certain kind of life.
That version can be a ghost in the maze.
A ghost with opinions.
A very judgmental ghost.
So what happened with the offer?
I'm curious.
I said no.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. I said no, and then I went for a walk, and I felt relief. Not happiness. Relief. Like my nervous system unclenched.
That's the body saying, thank you.
Exactly. And then, 2 days later, the maze tried to pull me back. Because once you say no to a corridor, your brain goes, "Are you sure? Did you just ruin your life?"
Yes, the second-guessing hallway.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Leaving one corridor doesn't instantly show you the map. You're still in the maze. You just chose a different turn.
That's a key truth. People think decisions will give them clarity. Sometimes decisions just give them the next question.
Yes, and I had to learn to tolerate that. To tolerate, "I don't know yet," without treating it like failure.
That tolerance is the adult skill.
It really is. And I think that's why the maze phase often appears at times when you're maturing. You're no longer satisfied with easy answers.
Or borrowed answers.
Exactly. You don't want someone else's map. You want your own.
And building your own map takes time, which is why the maze feels slow.
That's another annoying part. The maze doesn't respect urgency.
No, you can't rush meaning.
You can't rush alignment.
And you definitely can't rush clarity.
So, what do you do? If you're in that place where you're not sure and you're tired of being unsure, what do you do?
I think you stop demanding that the maze become a highway. You treat it like a maze and you use maze logic.
Maze logic. I like that. What's maze logic?
Maze logic is small experiments, honest signals, and movement without drama.
That sounds almost too calm.
Calm is the point. In a maze, panic doesn't help. Panic makes you sprint into walls.
True. Panic makes you choose quickly just to escape the feeling.
Exactly. And then you end up in a corridor you don't even like, but you tell yourself, at least I'm moving.
Which is a different kind of stuck.
Yes, movement without intention is just activity.
Okay, give me an example of small experiments.
If you're confused about your direction, don't make a life decision in the middle of emotional fog. Instead, test small versions of possible futures. Talk to someone who does the thing. Spend a weekend trying the routine. Do a tiny project. See how your body responds.
That sounds like data, but not in a cold way.
Exactly. It's data with humanity.
I like that. Because sometimes people in the maze are trying to decide based on imagination alone. And imagination is dramatic.
Imagination is a filmmaker.
Yes, it's like, if you choose this, you will either become a legend or collapse publicly.
Exactly. But reality is usually quieter.
Reality is like, you will probably be fine, and you will still have laundry.
Precisely.
Okay, I want to share something that might sound odd, but it helped me. I started thinking of the maze as a place where you can sit down.
I love that.
Like, in my mind, I imagined there's a bench somewhere in the maze. And when I feel like I'm spiraling, I picture myself sitting on that bench and saying, I'm not lost, I'm paused.
That's a powerful reframe. Because pausing feels like failure to a lot of people.
Exactly. But a pause can be strategic. A pause can be wisdom, especially when your nervous system is loud.
And sometimes the clearest movement is choosing not to move for a moment.
Yes, to stop sprinting, to breathe, to stop opening tabs.
If I had to say it in one sentence, in the maze, your job isn't to find the perfect exit, it's to stay honest while you move,
That sentence is so grounding.
because it removes the pressure of certainty.
It also removes the pressure of performing confidence,
Yes, people try to look sure even when they're not,
especially in front of other people.
which adds another layer. Because the maze isn't only internal, it's social. People ask, so what's next for you? Like they're casually asking about the weather.
Yes. What's next? In that cheerful tone. And you're like, what's next? I'm currently negotiating with my own identity.
Exactly. And then you give an answer that sounds clean, even if it's not true.
Because ambiguity feels embarrassing.
But it shouldn't.
No, it's human. It's honest.
And it's often a sign you're thinking seriously.
That's true. People who never feel lost are usually either incredibly lucky or deeply in denial.
Or they're following someone else's map and calling it destiny.
That's the harsh truth.
It is, but it's useful.
Okay, let's make this practical in a way that still feels like a conversation. What are the classic maze symptoms?
I'd say too many tabs, too many inputs, and a constant feeling of almost.
The almost feeling is so specific. Like, I'm almost there, but you don't know where there is.
Exactly. Or I'm almost ready. But the readiness never arrives because the standard keeps moving.
Yes, and then you start consuming content like it's oxygen. Podcasts, books, advice, videos, trying to download clarity.
Clarity doesn't download.
If it did, I would have paid for the premium plan.
We all would have.
So, what actually helps?
Fewer inputs, more contact with your own signals.
By signals, you mean your body, your emotions, your energy?
Yes, things like when you imagine a certain future, do you feel expansion or contraction? Do you feel curiosity or dread? Do you feel relief? Do you feel heaviness?
That's so interesting because I used to think emotions were unreliable in decision making. Like, don't be emotional, be logical. But now I think emotions are data, just not orders.
Exactly. Emotions are data, not commands. Logic is also data, not a dictator. Wisdom is integration.
Integration. I like that. Okay, I want to do a quick thought experiment with you. Let's say someone is listening and they're in a maze about something specific career, relationship, where to live. They feel stuck. They keep asking, what should I do? What question should they ask instead?
I'd replace what should I do with what is the next honest step?
That's so good.
Because what should I do demands a final answer. Next honest step respects the maze.
And it's smaller.
Smaller and kinder.
Next honest step could be having a conversation, trying a small experiment. setting a boundary, resting, saying no.
Exactly. It's often not dramatic.
That's another thing people hate. They want the maze to end with a dramatic leap.
A cinematic exit.
Yes, like you run through the maze, burst into sunlight, and the music swells.
But most exits are quiet. You just notice one day that you're in a different place.
That's such a relief.
It is.
I want to talk about one more wall in the maze comparison.
The comparison wall is tall.
It's tall, and it has mirrors.
Yes. Distorted mirrors.
Exactly. You look at other people and you think they're moving smoothly. You don't see their maze. You see their highlight reel. You see their announcements, their milestones.
And you compare your confusion to their conclusion.
That's the perfect sentence. Your confusion to their conclusion. That's exactly what it is. And then you feel behind.
But you're not behind. You're just in a different corridor.
And maybe in a different season.
Yes, seasons matter.
Okay, second mini checkpoint. So basically, being in the maze isn't a sign you're broken. It's a sign you're in transition. And transitions don't come with maps.
That's it. And once you stop treating it like a problem to solve, you start relating to it like a phase to navigate.
Navigate, not fix.
Exactly.
Okay, let's land this with something people can actually carry into their day. Because I don't want this to feel like a philosophical cloud. I want it to feel useful.
Agreed.
Here's a phrase I started using when I feel maze energy. I say, I can't see the whole map, but I can choose the next honest step.
That's excellent.
It stops me from trying to solve my entire life at once.
Because solving your entire life at once is not a task. It's a panic attack with branding.
Yes, exactly.
And that phrase also respects reality. It accepts the limit of your perspective,
Which is humbling.
but also freeing.
Another thing that helps me is remembering. Sometimes the maze is necessary. Sometimes you need the turns. Because the turns force you to learn what you actually want, not what you think you should want.
That's the deeper gift of the maze. It removes easy certainty and forces honest contact.
It also forces patience.
Yes, and patience is the opposite of control.
Which is why it's so hard for ambitious people.
And for anxious people.
So, everyone.
Pretty much.
Okay, final question and then we'll wrap. When you're in the maze, what's the biggest mistake people make?
They treat feeling lost as proof that something is wrong with them. They personalize it. They think, I'm failing. But the maze isn't failure, it's complexity, it's growth. It's life refusing to be reduced to a simple plan.
That's beautiful.
And the second mistake is sprinting, rushing into a decision just to stop the discomfort.
Yes, choosing a corridor out of panic.
Exactly. Panic is not a compass.
That should be a sticker.
Panic is not a compass.
I want to end with something gentle. If you're listening and you feel lost, like truly lost, please don't make it mean you're defective. It might just mean you're awake. You're paying attention. You're not sleepwalking through a life that doesn't fit anymore.
And if you can, try to picture that bench in the maze. You're allowed to sit down. You're allowed to pause. Pausing isn't quitting. It's listening.
And when you're ready, choose the next honest step. Not the perfect one, not the one that impresses people, the honest one.
Because honesty is how you move through the maze without losing yourself.
Thanks for spending this time with us.
We'll see you next time.
And until then, if your brain says recalculating, just remember, that doesn't mean you're lost. It just means you're still navigating.
and navigation is a skill, not a verdict.